You're listening to episode 53 of the Let's Go Comic Show. On this episode, we do DC Comic movie news, the top Superman stories, Action Comics 1000, and Superman, put them shorts back on. This is episode 53 of the Let's Go Comic Show. My name is Justin.
And I'm Matt.
How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing all right, man. Hanging in there.
Happy Superman 80th birthday to you.
And a happy Superman birthday to you as well.
There you go. I'm wearing my Superman socks. I don't know if you've seen them. There they are.
But you're wearing Batman earrings, though, too.
I was wearing Batman earrings because that's what Batman would do. You know, he would be like,
just kind of like have that
come
little,
at me,
like,
bro. Well, that's what Lego Batman would do.
Like dick move. Like, just kinda...
Lego Batman would do that. He would be like, hey, Superman. He just would roll up. Yeah, I don't know.
You're like that like giant Superman Batman robot.
Oh, the composite Superman. I kind of am.
Can never settle just for.
But you know what?
Superman.
I made a conscious effort today to wear Superman socks, and I have like 3 pairs of Superman socks, and I was like,
3 pairs, nice.
I do. I have,
and they all look different.
They all look different. Like the ones I'm wearing today are black with little Superman, icon crests.
Should have worn
scattered.
the electric blue ones.
I have other black ones that just have a very cool like Jose Luis Garcia Lopez like version of Superman on the side.
Oh, nice.
And then I have these blue ones with capes on the back, which my wife hates, and I'm not typically going to wear.
I was going to say, do you
socks.
like them?
Someone gave them to me. They're like, "Hey,
do you like capes on your socks?" It's
kind of awkward. I usually just wear them with pants. I don't really wear shorts much, but when I do wear them, I just tuck the capes inside of them, and I rarely wear them. It's like, man, there's no socks. It's a low sock day.
Much like Clark Kent, probably.
Much like Clark Kent,
Just that's where the cape is.
He just tucks it into the back of his socks, dude. The back of his shirt.
I always wondered why he looked like a humpback. That was like, weird.
I know people are like, "Hey, Clark, you have some bad posture. You're gonna get a hump," and then that's what it is. It's the cape, man. The whole time it's been the cape. So it's a retractable cape.
There we go.
Hey, there we go. Anyways, you're listening to the Let's Go Comic Show, where we talk about comics, comic books, comic book movies, anything in the world of comics, TV shows, socks, fashion, fashionable items, fashion, Superman bathrobes,
Superman fashion.
Hello. A lot of people wear Superman.
Just factor into that.
Stuff.
I mean, because when you wear your red underwear on the outside of your clothes, I mean, that's Superman
There
fashion.
you go. And it's back with no explanation. It's just there. We'll get into a little bit of that. I was going to say, Matt Ritchie is actually wearing a Flash t-shirt today. And I noticed somebody else today at work was wearing a Flash t-shirt.
Yeah.
And I was like,
we high-fived.
The Flash of two worlds. It was like, I wanted you guys to race. I should have said, you guys should race and see who's the fastest. Come on. But anyways, I feel like you could have took Alex. You could have took him down.
We'll see.
We'll see. I think we should do it one day.
I'm not the fastest man alive.
Yeah. We already know. I mean, we don't need to throw Superman in the loop. We know that Superman's not going to win that race.
No, sorry.
And even if he could, he'd probably let the Flash win because Superman's a nice guy.
All about sacrifice.
Superman's all about sacrifice. He's the most human of the superheroes.
Indeed.
Right? Do you think so?
I have to think about that. But
Yeah.
I my initial thought is, I'd want to agree with that. I think that's part of what makes him so, not just popular, but just like meaningful, is he's an alien that actually still just represents the best of like who we hope to be,
Yeah, I think that's the one thing that I love about Superman is the common critique is like, he's too powerful, he's unrelatable. I'm like, no, then you don't know Superman. Superman is the most relatable because all he wants to do is truly be us. And he loves us. And he cares about people. His weakness isn't kryptonite. His weakness is people, his love for people. And sometimes I think that almost gets in the way of his job because he cares so much about people that sometimes he may not do what needs to be done to get the job done. I don't know if that makes sense. But I think he's the most human of the superheroes, like even more human than Batman. Where people think Batman's he's a human, he's the most relatable, but I'm like, yeah, but he's a rich guy. He's like the richest of all rich guys. He's probably so disassociated with like the regular guy.
It's a superpower.
Yeah, he's rich. I'm rich. But and I love Batman. He's my favorite. But Superman is the one that he's the most humble, and with all of that power, all he wants to do is help us. So
He just has great responsibility.
he has great responsibility. Thanks, Superman. You're a good guy, and we'll talk
'Cause
about
all
you
the
more.
power.
And all the power. Okay, Matt, before we get started, we got to talk about our rating system. So it is a what?
A rating system.
Yes, but based on...
It is. It is a rating system. It's based on very scientific research.
Yes.
It's not at all. It's just our opinions.
Yeah, it's our opinions.
It's
You're not scientific at all.
It's not. It's just our opinions.
It's our feelings.
So the highest is gotta go. Below that is a let's go.
Mm-hmm.
Below that is a go. And on the low end side of things, it is a don't go.
Yeah, and then it's trash juice. Oh, yeah. So, but what I wanted to do, we haven't done it in a while. I wanted to do a list based upon Superman actors.
Ooh.
Who is your gotta go Superman?
Are there enough Superman actors
Yes.
to fill that space?
Yes, there is.
Uh-oh.
Who are your gotta goes, dude? Who's your gotta go? Come on now.
Okay, not the best writing to support him, but
Mm-hmm.
I think Henry Cavill is a great Superman.
He is a great Superman. My gotta go Superman is George Reeves. I don't know what it is. There's something about how he presented himself. He just felt super and mighty to me. And as
Yeah.
a kid, I was just like, he's Superman. And when he smiled, it was kind, but when he was tough, he would freaking bend a gun in half.
It's
So anyways, I don't know.
It's true.
Yeah, he's a guy to go just because of the sentimental part.
Yeah.
So, okay, who's your let's go?
That'd be Christopher Reeve.
There you go. Good choice. My let's go is Henry Cavill. I love him as Superman. He's probably going to be, and he's probably going to move into the gotta go as hopefully if he gets another movie. He just needs, for me, he just needs a movie where he can just be Superman. And I feel like he has been, but I want him to have that.
No, like he's been confined. You want him to run free.
I want him to fly free. Fly free, Henry
Fly,
Cavill.
fly.
Like no mustaches holding you back. Just fly into the sun. So anyways, so he's my let's go. So who'd you go?
George Reeve, I guess.
Okay.
I can't think of any other. I don't have a specific connection to him.
Okay, my go is Christopher Reeve. So again, there's parts I love about him. There's this parts I just don't like about his Superman, and mostly Superman 3, some of Superman 2, Superman 4. So I mean, he really has one and a half movie that is really like good stuff, and then everything else is like, man. But he did embody who Superman was, I think. But
Yeah, really for a generation.
yeah. But for me, it's just a go. And so, who's your don't go Superman?
Nicolas Cage. I'm glad he's getting to realize his dreams on Teen Titans Go to the Movies, but that's not
Nicolas
anything I'd ever want.
Oh man, I'm gonna say my don't go Superman. It is a tie between, man. You know, I almost wish I had a tie for my let's go, because I actually think was it Gerard Christopher was a really good Superman on the Superboy show.
Oh gosh,
Yeah, I think
that's taking it back.
yeah, he's good.
Oh, you know what?
I was gonna say
I didn't even
my
think of-
don't go is Dean Cain, dude.
Yeah, no, but
He
you
just
know
never
who would have been
felt like
actually my
Superman to
go?
me?
Would have
Who?
been Brandon Ruth.
Oh,
I thought he did fine.
Poor
He was
Brandon Ruth. You know what? He wasn't bad. He just didn't do anything. He just flew around, stalked Lois, and
As creepy as all get
creepy,
out.
like, hey,
Poor guy.
son. He had a kid. There's a lot of weird stuff going on with that movie. I totally forgot about him.
Oh,
Oh,
so
man.
many people did.
Yeah, so many people did. Now he's just kind of shrunken out of sight. Hey, like the Atom. Hey,
the Atom.
So yeah, there we go. Okay, so let's jump into talk about a little bit of news that came out, just because I don't want to wait till next week. And by next week, it probably won't even be news. These things will probably be washed away from the headlines. It'll be, especially with the news that we're going to be talking about. So
That really makes me excited to talk about it.
yeah, but it's actually fun. I wanted to get your thoughts on it because we haven't talked about any of this stuff today. Me and Matt have hung out today numerous times. We had an adventure. We went to, depending on where you are in the world, either you are a Hardee's person or here in Southern California, we have Carl's Jr., right? Mm-hmm. So today we had to go through the drive-thru and they let us know. Sorry, this has nothing to do with comics, but it's
Just
really
want to be
funny.
up front.
Just want to be up front. FYI. They let us know. They're like, hey, there's no lettuce, you guys.
Out of lettuce.
We're out of lettuce, and we're like, okay. It didn't like make us like.
Is
well,
that
we
like
don't
an
wanna
integral part for you of the spicy chicken sandwich experience?
Eat. It's there to like give a little bit of coolness. You know, you're like, oh, okay, I need that. It's part of the sandwich, and so
It's like the sunglasses of the sandwich.
it is the sunglasses of the sandwich. And so what I didn't want to do is like be the awkward guy and back up out of the drive-thru and be like, hey, forget this, man. I need lettuce. I need that iceberg crunch to have a sandwich. So anyways, we continued through and we get our food.
Well, and they gave us like, hey, we like gave you a discount.
Oh,
'cause
yeah,
there's no
it's true.
lettuce.
Yeah, no lettuce.
I didn't even see what the discount was. But
Yeah, they gave us the no lettuce discount. And then they threw a couple cookies. They gave Matt 2, gave me 1. So that was weird. I feel like since I was ordering, they
that's
kind
because you were a jerk and made like that
sense.
joke.
What did I say?
I don't
don't
they
remember
said something. You're like, yeah, like when you don't have any lettuce or something like that.
Oh,
and
the
then she
crap.
like shut the drive-thru door.
I was trying to relate with her and be jokey, and she kind of was like, "Oh."
She wasn't feeling that one.
Yeah, but by that point, transaction was done, and she had no idea that I was going to give her. Anyways, so we take off and we're driving, and Matt, being a good friend in the passenger seat, was taking care of me and said, "Hey, man," gave me my sandwich. Open it up, take a bite. Guess what's there? Freaking lettuce. So it was kind of funny. We're like, wait, they said there's no lettuce. So it got us thinking it was our.
It's like, what is this?
What is this?
What's
Yeah.
in it?
And was this prepackaged lettuce? Was this like, were the sandwiches already pre-made? Were
The
they
sandwich
sitting?
from yesterday.
So yeah. Anyways,
Who
it,
knows?
not as.
Not that that stopped us from eating them, but
Oh yeah, it was still good. It was it was a great driving burger. By the way, Carl's Jr. makes the best driving food. Just sticks together really well. Yeah, it doesn't get everywhere. Like the sauce keeps it from sliding all over the place.
there used to be like a key thing though for Carl's Jr. is like, hey, our
Yeah.
stuff's messy.
That was just a dumb
And you
rhyme.
know it's good.
Yeah, but it wasn't that messy. I feel like their food sticks together pretty well.
If you get a double Western bacon cheeseburger with extra barbecue sauce, it can get a little messy. But
That's the one I was going to say. The best one for driving is the Western bacon cheeseburger. It doesn't.
it's just the best one in general.
It just
There's
sticks.
still
Yeah.
a place in
And
my
here's the
heart.
thing: Carl's Jr. isn't like the best place, but if you're going to do fast food places, especially, I mean, if you're in America, I don't know if they have them in other countries, but in America, I feel like Carl's Jr. is probably the better of the quality. Not what's let's take In-N-Out out of the equation. If you're going to go
I guess. if you want
McDonald's, like Burger King, like Wendy's, Jack in the Box, I feel like Carl's Jr. is the best of those, in my opinion.
to. Taking a strong stance right now.
Yeah, I mean, come at us, you guys. If you don't agree, let us know. But I feel like Carl's Jr. is the better of those, and I like their fries too. The fries are good.
That's true.
Yeah,
I
I don't
agree.
eat Carl's Jr. a lot. I feel like the last time I had it was like maybe 5 months ago, but today it just felt right. It felt good. It felt in celebration.
right.
It felt in celebration of
And
Superman.
then we had a lettuce miracle.
There's no we had a lettuce miracle, and then Delon had all the lettuce puns today. He's all let us know. Oh, sorry. It has nothing to do with any of the show, but it was just funny. It made me laugh.
Very important information.
It was very important information, but it was after we bought our comics, and it was just fun hanging out with Matt today, seeing him a little more than I usually do. So there you go. All right, so let's get into the news. Sponsored by Carl's Jr. If it doesn't get all over the place, it doesn't belong in your face. That's probably not their slogan anymore, is it?
No, I think it's been a
Is it just like
solid few years since
it's
they've
like just
ever used
eat
that.
burgers? I don't know what it is. Anyways, so yesterday some news came out. Was it yesterday or was it I think it was yesterday morning, yeah. So news came out yesterday that Warner Brothers is trying to get Kathy Yan to direct the next Harley Quinn film, which is a little bit misleading because it's going to be not a Harley Quinn movie, but a Birds of Prey
Oh, really?
film. Yeah. So that's what the script is for. And
Why would Harley Quinn be in Birds of Prey, though? That's not traditionally
she's
a character that's in
probably
there.
who they're trying to take down, I bet.
It's not like a Gotham City Sirens.
No, which they rumored to make. That was another thing that was on the list, was a Gotham City Sirens film. There's a whole bunch of different movies. They're like Suicide
There's
Squad
so
2,
many
Harley
things
versus
on the
Joker, Gotham City Sirens, a whole bunch of different films I think they were trying to make work. And anyway, so this project is based on Birds of Prey. I don't know if it's going to be called Harley Quinn and the Birds of Prey are in it, or if it's called Birds of Prey and Harley Quinn is the bad guy. We have no idea. But usually it's Black Canary, Barbara Gordon as Batgirl or Oracle, depending on where they're at in the timeline, and Huntress. And sometimes Katana's in there as well, which I think, Katana was in Suicide Squad.
Yeah, it's true.
Bring her into Birds of Prey. That'd be cool because I like
She
that
could actually
character.
do something.
She could actually do something. We can see a little bit more of that sword. I think she did stuff in that movie. She was cool, but she has, her husband's all like wrapped up in her sword of vengeance and whatever that thing's called.
Yes.
That's pretty cool.
I think it's the Soul Sword, right?
The Soul Sword. Yeah, you can do a lot more cool things with that. So I'd be down to see that. What are your thoughts, though? What are your thoughts on a Birds of Prey / Harley Quinn
Kathy
movie?
Yan is. Do we
Me
know
neither.
what she's done?
She hasn't done much. She did a film last year, and it was called Dead Pigs, and it won some awards.
Okay.
But it wasn't like a huge thing. It was kind of an indie. And so, but I guess she really won them over with her presentation on what she would do for Birds of Prey.
Yeah,
and so she
and a woman
impressed.
directing this story in this kind of movie makes sense.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm open to it, but I will say that I remember talking about Suicide Squad. Gosh, were we? Yeah, no, we were doing the
Suicide
podcast
Squid?
by Suicide Squid. Suicide Squid, the Academy Award-winning Suicide Squad.
Mm-hmm.
And how actually I just felt on the outs as far as like relating to all the other fans and what they liked or didn't like about the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Harley and the Joker were actually two of my least favorite parts of the movie.
Really?
Yeah, I thought, and that's nothing against like Margot Robbie, like she did fine. I didn't like the characterization as much.
Really? I felt like she was Harley Quinn.
She's kind of grated on me a little bit more than like Harley Quinn usually does, but
Really? Okay.
I think it's just a preference thing for me, honestly. And so I think that would color my enthusiasm, like on the announcement, a little bit. But I'm always open to new stories, and you know what I mean, give it another shot. Because Margot Robbie's an incredible actress. So I mean,
yeah, and she's really into being Harley Quinn. I think she's producing this as well. So yeah, I would love to see it take shape, and I'd love to see Birds of Prey on screen, because one of the things they want to do is use it as a backdoor for a Batgirl film. And so one of the things that's been
they do?
Yeah.
All
so
right. I guess that would make sense.
Yeah, because you can go, hey, this is our movie, and everyone loves it, and hey, Batgirl, she was great, and then guess what? We're gonna bring her into her own film later on, and so makes sense. So the script was written by Christina Hodson, and she wrote, I guess, the Transformers spinoff Bumblebee script, and I guess people dug it. And so people are really digging this Birds of Prey script. And so she's actually she got hired to write a script for Batgirl once they got rid of Josh Whedon and stuff.
Yeah.
So this is a current thing. And I think I don't know if we talked about it a couple weeks ago or not, but it was in the trades that, hey, she's writing Batgirl.
Oh, okay.
Because Batgirl was kind of DOA. It was like, okay, was this really going to happen? Josh Whedon's out. He's like, I can't think of a story. And there's only like 50 years of material to kind of mine through. You couldn't get that going. Like, I could write a Batgirl story. I got it in my head. I can make it happen. It's not that difficult.
No, I remember Gail Simone tweeting about it, be like, I got a story.
So many people, even what's her face, who was writing Black Panther and the Crew. I think she was like, I can write a story.
Yeah.
So
is that Roxanne Gay?
yes, it was. Yeah, there you go. It was Roxanne Gay, and she said she can do it. And even someone from Warner Brothers hit her up on Twitter. Hey, hit us up. So
there you go.
Yeah, but apparently she didn't get it because Christina Hodson's writing the script, so maybe they didn't like her take. I don't know, but I can definitely get behind this film. Again, Birds of Prey is a cool concept. I like it. The thing that gets me most excited about it is Black Canary. And if Black Canary's in this film, that means Green Arrow's out there. I'd love to see a cinematic version of Green Arrow. I really want to see a movie with him, and maybe we'll get that Supermax film that they always hinted at like years ago.
Oh man, that was
remember
a while
Supermax?
Ago. Yeah,
where he's like locked in with the bad guys. Oh, that'd be great. But one thing I hope that they do, if they do make this
locked
movie,
in there with him.
They're locked in.
You're
locked in here with me. Is I want to see them maybe get rid of the tattoos and stuff on Harley, like maybe get away from that look. Mm-hmm. I'm just not a big fan of that look. That's all. And I'm not against tattoos. I have them myself, but on her and Joker, all they need to do is open the movie. I think I mentioned this before. Movie opens with them leaving a tattoo removal place. Those guys are both dead, and they look good, and that's it. And not that that's how easy the process is, but it's movies. Move on, or just don't even acknowledge it and just don't have them. Like it happened a while ago. So
totally.
Anyway, so there's that. Pretty cool news. And the only thing is, it's DC Comics movie news. They announce new stuff all the time. It's not even announced. It's kind of like hinted at. They're like, here's something that's going on. Green Lantern Corps coming. It's not really coming. Suicide Squad 2. Like, who knows, dude? Like, it just seems it's kind of like, we'll see. Yeah. You know, we know Aquaman's coming in Shazam because they're actually done filming.
They're actually in the middle of it.
Yeah. So there you go. So the other news, this was a little bit more like surprising. So
yeah,
yesterday night, some news came out that Steven Spielberg is working on a Black Hawk project. What do you think about DC? That? For DC, yeah, for DC Films. So what do you think about that, man?
I think it's encouraging to think that like they're able to get some pretty high caliber people behind some of their movies. Mm-hmm. And it's not to say the people they've had so far aren't good.
Yeah.
But I think there's something that comes with like, you think of the name Spielberg, that's there's not a lot of names that are bigger than that in film.
Yeah.
Right now. You know what I mean? And the history that's part of that. And so to have that as part of your universe, it seems like it seems like the news is saying that he's definitely producing and possibly directing the film, right? Mm-hmm. But even to have him as part of making the movie, I don't know. I'm encouraged by that sign. Like between Ava DuVernay, like being attached to a New Gods movie, and Spielberg being attached to this thing. What strikes me about both of these is they're both not like mainline like DC continuity.
Yeah.
And so I'm wondering if that's what's appealing to filmmakers to be a part of.
Yeah. I feel like it's for him, he probably doesn't even care that it's like a DC property. He's just more like, okay, I love the idea of, World War II fighter pilots, and he's done movies in that era.
He's done stuff, yeah.
And it's almost not so different for me. I'm like, man, it's kind of familiar ground for him, but I'm into it. Like, the only thing is, I remember there was a quote he had, and people were asking him about like, hey, what do you think about superhero films? Would you ever do one? And he basically said that superhero movies are gonna go the way of the Western. And it doesn't mean that there won't be another occasion where the Western comes back and the superhero movie someday returns, but he was just kind of saying like the studios are imploding. It wasn't necessarily I don't see it as a negative. A lot of people have said he hates superhero films. I think he was just saying if the movie making climate is continued like popcorn movie, blockbuster, then it can't survive on that. And which, I mean, I think there's some truth to it, like, which is why like a movie like A Quiet Place comes out and like kills it. It's just different, and like no one was expecting it, and it kind of, I think it's going to probably take over Ready Player One, which is a Spielberg movie that came out 2 weeks ago.
Right. With Warner Brothers?
Yeah, with Warner Brothers. It's not doing that great. It's probably doing okay, but it didn't take the world by storm. But it was okay. I didn't love it.
A Quiet Place in its opening weekend dethroned it.
Oh yeah, and the budget on A Quiet Place is like a fraction of what Ready Player One probably. It's so profitable, way more profitable than what Ready Player One will be. Anyways,
be interesting to see how this turns out. Like what develops.
I'm not really excited about it in the sense that like I can't wait. I've always wanted a Black Hawk movie to happen. Like no. I really don't care. Like I don't have an emotional connection to it. Like maybe they can do some cool things with it. Maybe Wonder Woman's friends can be in it. That'd be kind of cool. Oh, yeah, but I don't know if he's gonna want to tie into anything. He'll probably be like, I don't care. Like you can throw JSA in there. Maybe.
Well, I think that's what I was trying to say with this and with the potential New God stuff is they're kind of free from mainline continuity and having to.
Yeah, it doesn't even have to be in the universe.
To any of that stuff.
I think New God should be connected somehow, though.
Oh yeah, no, I mean there should be nods to it and stuff like that. But I'm saying the initial movie though and making it, they don't. Yeah, that's not like a core component that they need to like. Oh, I need to make sure and consider this when making this movie.
But on the other side of it, it's kind of cool that DC has such a rich library that there's so much you can pull from, and like, oh yeah, we're gonna do Sugar and freaking, Spike, like,
I was thinking
movie, or
it reminds me of our discussion in the last episode talking about the New 52 and some of the chances they took with those books. Like, you had a lot of different styles.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you had a Western book, you had a wartime kind of book, you had some horror books, you had some sci-fi, and I'm like, man, like, they can mine that a little more. I almost wonder if it needs to be something that takes the pressure off of the main, like, Justice League roster kind of set of movies. Do you know what I mean? To kind of give them some room to breathe, to not feel so pressured on those movies and just make them good.
No, I agree. I definitely agree with that. That idea is like, make DC movies maybe, and that's where they can differentiate from what Marvel has done, is don't go so mainstream with all of them. Because you can do them at a smaller budget too. I think you can do all these movies at smaller budgets, to be honest. Like, I don't work in the movie studios, but I'm like, Deadpool really showed like what you can do on a small budget.
Yeah, it's true.
Again, you can make Suicide Squad 2 a lot smaller. I know you got to pay like Will Smith, but like everything else can be, do it smaller. And that's what like Walter Hamada is kind of going to be there for. Gotta have Sky Trash. So curious what's going to happen with that. Now, it doesn't say for sure he's going to direct. It kind of says that he can possibly direct and he's going to produce. And so I said on Twitter today, I really wish it was like, he's making Hawkman. I just want to see a Hawkman movie. They rumored it before years. I think in 2007 they kind of rumored something
that took place in like World War II. Dude,
it could happen. Like, it's got all. I mean, aliens. Check. He's into that. Indiana Jonesy, that guy. Check.
Yeah.
Historian, like guy who works in a museum. Check. Like, why not, man?
Yeah.
I think he'd be great, but it's all good. It's all good. I'm okay. I'm like,
yeah, me too.
I'm not gonna not watch it, but I'm curious how it will tie in. So there you go. Steven Spielberg making Black Hawk. I just want to see some fans get all upset. That's not how the Black Hawk works. I don't know. You know how people just get, like, DC fans seem to get super toxic, and I don't even know too much about Black Hawk. It's just that
I feel like when I think of Black Hawk and Lady Black Hawk, it like reminds me of. I feel like it could almost be like a World War II G.I. Joe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, for sure.
Like, you have like that team of like people that do that. I don't know.
See, that's the thing. I thought they were
it's a kind of thing that comes along like a lot. I feel like you have like this military, like paramilitary, like kind of team that does stuff.
I thought they were the Black Hawks, but maybe I'm wrong. For some reason, I thought it was a whole crew of people who fought in airplanes.
I think it's both.
Okay, like he is Black Hawk and he leads the Black Hawks. All right, so moving on. Let's just jump in since it is the 80th anniversary of Action Comics #1, Superman's birthday. I don't know if it's his anniversary or the birthday. I'm going to say happy birthday, Superman.
Yeah, everyone's saying
and happy anniversary.
I feel like he wasn't born like when Action Comics came out, but that's fine, man. Like, let's just roll with it.
Yeah, totally.
So, but that's a big deal today. I mean, Action Comics #1000
wouldn't have gotten here if the New 52 kept going. You know what I'm saying?
It's true.
So
they would have found a way.
Yeah, they would have found a way. Yeah, it would have been like that 1,000
Action
issue.
Comics 40. I mean 1,000.
So, but what they did do, they when they renumbered everything, they just took those, like, that series of books and threw it into the numbered. So I think whatever the last, they just added it to it. So we didn't continue numbering from when they stopped. They just added those numbers to the list. So anyway, so before we jump into Action Comics 1000, I wanted to kind of talk about maybe just a few really awesome Superman stories that you love, because man, I've been reading Superman comics since I was a little kid.
It's been a while.
Yeah. So before we get started with this list, I just have to say these are all gotta goes on our list, right? We just talked about the rating system.
Yeah. These are the stories that you need to hit up.
These are gotta go Superman stories. So that being said, let's do this. I remember the first ones I really bought consistently there was a storyline, and I guess this is my first Superman story that I wanted to mention that I really love. It was kind of a crossover. It was kind of like a precursor to him rejoining the Justice League in the 90s, right before he died. and it was called Panic in the Sky. And it was a really cool story. It was super fun. Got me really excited. And it got me confused because I didn't know there was like all these Superman books. There was like Superman and Action Comics and Adventures of Superman. And so there was all these different books. And every week they came out and there's a triangle and you had it wasn't like Superman number 4 and then Superman 5. It was Superman number, 17 would lead into Action Comics, 700. And you'd be like, oh crap, you had to follow the little triangles. But it was a really great story where, Superman and they had to go fight Brainiac on Warworld, and they had all the superheroes that come with them, and they were in boom tubes, and there was like all this just fun action, and it totally it was like really fun, and the creative teams were great, and it was Ordway and Jurgens and all the people that have really created who the modern Superman is. One of my favorite stories, if you can get it in trade, I would check it out because it was. I think it's kind of overlooked now. Once you get like into the Death of Superman and the more modern like books, but
right,
I think Panic in the Sky was one of the better Superman stories in the like 90s and stuff. So I really like that one.
That's a good one, dude.
Yeah.
I was thinking. I mean, I think when I think of Superman, I think of the main one that kind of comes to mind first is really Death of Superman.
Okay.
And Reign of the Superman, like that whole. They kind of go together, and I think not that that's the first Superman story ever for me, but that's just one where I felt like that really jumped out, and maybe I was just at the right age where it was like, what? Like, this is crazy. Like, what's going to happen to Superman? Because I think you get those stories, and I think when we get to Action Comics 1000, you have stories that kind of make you stop and take a look and reevaluate like what you think of the character. Mm-hmm. And so when you have something, if it's done well, if you have something that's like the death of a character, it should make you reevaluate like what they mean to you. Yeah. Because you're kind of forced to kind of stop and look back. And so I think that's what Death of Superman was the first thing that kind of did that. Where it's kind of incredible to see, like, I remember even the main like media attention that the story got, and it's like it was like legitimately heartbreaking for some people. It was almost like the death of like a symbol of something really meaningful for people too, not just a character. And so I don't know, I just remember things like seeing those images of him and Doomsday going at it, and he's just bloodied and battered, and it's like, man, you've never seen Superman like that before. So maybe it's not the best Superman or my favorite Superman story, but that's the one that first comes to mind, I think, because it's just something that's really striking to me. Yeah,
for sure. I mean, the Death of Superman was a big deal. I was a kid when it came out, and I remember seeing it on the news. I mean, it impacted like the world. It was like, they're killing Superman? Like, what? Like, it just kind of felt like sacrilegious. Like, you shouldn't do that. And I remember it was just weird. I remember I cut the articles out of the newspaper. It was in there, and it was like, nice. I remember the headline was "The Man of Steel to Die," and it was like this really like, it had this like drawing of Superman, and it was just kind of sad. It was like, he's gonna die.
But even then, you think about it, that was 60 years of history, at least at that point.
At that time, it was 50,
right around there, 50 something.
Yeah, I think it was almost 50 because it was 92. Yeah, because in 98 it would have been
38
60.
Would have been the first one. So.
So it was like a little over 50 years of Superman at that point. So, yeah, man, it was such a crazy time because it's not like Superman was the hottest thing at that point. Like, you were right in the middle of Image Comics and everything starting, and Superman was kind of like, I think they needed to do something to like kind of tell you like, hey, remember Superman?
Yeah, he was like the symbol of like the old guard. Like he was literally the first one.
And so everyone just freaking, I remember the comic store was packed to get that the black bag.
Yeah, black bag.
And my dad, he was like, let's get 2 of them, and my praise God, my comic guy was like, he knew every time he knew I was like a Wednesday warrior. Yeah. He's like, I got one for you. I was like, yes, and my dad's all, can we get 2? And the guy was like, yeah, sure. And people were like, come on, because it was like limit 1. And my dad's, I'll get one for myself. And my dad, like, just being kind of John Wayne how he was. And, man, I should have sold one because those things were going for like $300, man. I remember when it came out, it was like, if you could get one, now they're like,
you could have had so much candy and cheeseburgers and stuff.
Dude, I could have had that. Yeah. But anyways, Now they're like $10. You can just get one.
It's like, yeah,
$5.
that's whatever. That's fine.
I opened one of them up though, man.
Buy a digital one.
I opened one up.
Oh yeah.
Because there's the armband in there. There was like a newspaper clipping.
Oh, the black armband.
There was this giant poster. I remember hanging the poster up. It had like the funeral Superman. There was a whole bunch of stuff that came out. I remember this was really cool. There was a magazine, kind of like this DC Comics like version of Time. I think it was called News Time, and it was this whole thing like dedicated to Superman. And I bought everything I could. I bought the Wizard special of Superman, and that was a crazy time. So I didn't even totally get off on it, but
no, that's fine. That is good.
It meant something. It was special. Looking back, it's not the greatest story. It's kind of like the storytelling was interesting. Like as the comics went on, the pages got bigger. So like issue 75 of Superman, where he dies, they're all spreads. They're all full page panels.
Oh wow!
Like, and so each comic kind of they start changing. Like the pacing, it gets just bigger and bigger and bigger. And so it was sad. I remember being like kind of emotional about it. Like I don't think I cried, but I think it resonated with me. Like, this is a big deal. And then even the books after, The World Without Superman, like Funeral for a Friend and all that, those were good books. Like to continue reading it, like with Supergirl, like kind of everyone filling in the gaps for him. And then
and it's not like you hadn't had stories like that beforehand, but I think like you really have like, for some reason, I just feel like I remember a lot of the Superman stories that stick out in my mind are ones that kind of explore like his importance and like what he sacrifices to be able to save people. Yeah. Like more than any other hero. At least in my mind, that's how it sticks out. And another one that makes me think of that's up there for my stories, both in print, but then really the first version of it that really comes to mind before that even is the adaptation in Justice League Unlimited, and that is For the Man Who Has Everything.
Oh yeah, okay.
Right, so you have that story with the Black Mercy, which is this plant like thing that you stick on him, and it makes you're stuck in like this hallucinogenic like what's it called, coma, living out basically like it's funny, like people joke about it now, right? Like, but your best life, and like your wildest dreams, like your deepest desires, all that kind of stuff. And what a cool concept, and absolutely gut-wrenching, heartbreaking like look at what Superman has sacrificed to be Superman. I just remember that episode of Justice League Unlimited, like it was one of the first couple of issues. I mean, episodes.
Yeah, I think so. I'm trying to remember.
It had to have been like the first. Like
I don't think it was Unlimited. I think it was just Justice League, right? The Black Mercy one.
We're going to double check real quick. Live animated episode. Second episode of the animated series Justice League Unlimited.
Really?
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, it's Wikipedia. Anybody can put what they want.
Yeah. So. It doesn't sound right, but it's probably right.
But that story was originally published in 1985.
Yeah.
And freaking Alan Moore.
Yeah. It was like the
and Dave Gibbons.
Yeah, it was the last. I think it was the last Superman story before the reboot from Crisis. Before Crisis.
And that's the same team that brought us Watchmen.
There you go. Who watches the Watchmen? Superman.
Oh,
maybe.
Yeah. So it's just. And it's funny to think back about. I was thinking about it today, and like, there's goofy aspects of it because you had Robin in there, and there was some kind of like.
It was Jason Todd Robin too.
Yes,
he's all in his little cold thing, his little legs, those shorty shorts. Hey,
but there was this idea, like even as a kid, reading that and seeing the cartoon, like this idea of like, here's everything you could have wanted, and you don't have to experience any of the hardest pain that you have. But then even in that, like that starts to break down and you realize that it's not, there's something false about it.
Yeah.
And that's just really, it's really profound, man. Like it was obviously in the middle of like, Alan Moore was just doing a ton of really, really good, like intense storytelling,
Yeah.
And, this has always stuck around for me as a really key Superman story. Do you remember like experiencing that? Story as well?
Yeah, it didn't like resonate with me like the way it's resonating with you. I mean, it's a great Superman story, but like it's not on my list of like my favorite.
Okay.
But I see why it is for people. And I feel like it's kind of like sacrilegious if you don't say it is. Because I feel like everyone's like, oh, for the
dude, I won't judge you.
Huh? No, I know, and I get it, and I almost feel like, oh man, maybe I should have it on like this list. But when I think of like my favorite Superman stories, I don't know what it is, but I love when people tell his origin, and they've done so many. But I feel like
there's some really good ones, man.
I feel like I kind of want to list them all at one time because I feel like they're all really good and they all kind of work together. To be honest, like you can take Superman for All Seasons by Jeff Loeb and Tim Sale. Like that's just list. A beautiful book to look at, you know. It goes through all the seasons,
and it's just so good. Like thematically, it works. You have the different narrators for each of the issues, and the fact that he decided not to tell the story from Superman's point of view, I thought was just so brilliant, so good.
Yeah, it's just a great book. And then I think my favorite is Birthright.
It's a good one.
It's by Mark Waid and Lionel Francis Yu. Like that book is so good, and it kind of takes you on the adventure side of Clark Kent. And there's a scene in there what I love with that. It's kind of weird because it's so like it relates to like modern times. There's like a school shooter. Superman goes in there and like takes care of it, and then flies off to like the guy who supplied him with it's kind of dark, to the guy who supplies him with the guns, and Superman takes the gun and shoots it at the guy, but catches a bullet like right before, and he's like, "You'll never forget this," you know, and bends them all up, and people are like, "Superman." Dude. So like, dude, can you imagine? It was almost like too dark for a Superman, but it was kind of that. Like, I love my favorite version of Superman is kind of informed by George Reeves, like from the 50 show. Okay, I feel like that Superman is kind of more in spirit to who Superman originally was created to be. Kind of this social crusader guy who's going to bust through the wall, bend your gun, punch you in the face, and say, "Knock it off," and then fly off. Like, doesn't say a lot, you know. Right. That's kind of my favorite version of Superman. I mean, I like the like guy who inspires hope, and he says, like, you know, if we can trash Justice League as much as we want, but I really like what they're trying to do in that movie with Superman, making him kind of like the good uncle, you know. Hey, you know, that scene with him and Flash at the end was great. Like, so good. It was like, that's who Superman is right there, you know. But it wasn't corny. Like, I feel like Christopher Reeve, and this is again sacrilegious.
You're gonna catch so much for it.
I think Christopher Reeve is super corny, and I've never.
My Superman throws his shield like
a cellophane S. Too late, Luthor. Too late. Now, there's things about Christopher Reeve that are great, and I don't want to be disrespectful and say he's the worst. I just don't connect to that Superman as much. Like that's where I feel like we love that version of Superman so much it's almost ruined Superman for us. When those movies are coming out, I don't even think Superman was acting like that in the comics. I think he was already beyond that kind of goofy.
Like Golly G kind of
Golly G, big Boy Scout type of. They even call him the Big Blue Boy Scout version of Superman. I don't think Superman has to be goofy and corny and like overtly saccharine to be hopeful and inspiring. You know.
Yeah,
and I think that's what those movies were doing. Anyways, back to these.
But I think you're right though. Birthright was counteracted that really well, and I felt like it did similar. I've heard people compare it to like Year One.
Yeah, it was. Yeah,
it's very similar kind of thing. Like, here's his journey to get to be Superman, without making it like here's a carbon copy of Batman's journey, which I thought was good.
Yeah, and I think they used a lot of it in Man of Steel, the movie, not the comic.
Yes,
they informed it. You know,
because I remember that too, like him going overseas and reporting and doing stuff. Like there was some cool stuff that made you feel like, oh, this is a natural progression, and not like. You're telling me Clark Kent is a reporter and he does these things, and I'm like, okay, I'm just going to take your word for it. But it was like, here was like why he has moved in this direction. I thought it did it in a way that felt really authentic, really true, like natural. I think for the character.
So I like that, and I like Jeff Johns and Gary Frank's Superman's Secret Identity, or was
Secret Origin?
Secret Origin. Again, it kind of goes in the face of what I just said because it's pretty much Christopher Reeve Superman.
Even the design.
I mean, even the look. Gary Frank, he just draws Christopher Reeve, and it kind of gives you those.
Looks
those
really
feelings.
good though.
Yeah, and you know what? They hit those beats, but they hit They modernized the the secret origin of Superman, and it doesn't discount all those other things. It doesn't discount Birthright and For All Seasons, or even Man of Steel.
Yeah.
Kind of takes they all kind of fit in a ball somewhere in your brain. Like you can make your own like continuity out of it in your own like mind, like make it work. My headcanon makes them all work together, and there is.
I can see how that works. So I feel like they don't negate each other, but they kind of like fill in the gaps.
They fill in the gaps, you know. So I actually want to go and read Birthright again because it was such a. I remember initially not buying any of it. I waited. I'm going to wait for the trade. That was really hard.
Birthright or Secret Origin?
Birthright.
Wow.
Yeah. For Secret Origin, I bought. I think that was one of the first comics I bought digitally.
Oh,
like
nice.
I didn't buy it when it came out. I bought it digitally because I was like, I wanted to get it, and I ended up getting it for like $6 or something. I remember like I'm gonna get it, and I read it like on the iPad. But yeah, I really like those books, and in Man of Steel by John Byrne. I mean, that modernized Superman for everybody, and you know, it kind of
and that was after the Crisis, right?
Yeah,
in the 80s.
Yeah, and so it's kind of corny. It's very 80s. It's very like you're living in the midst of.
It was very of its time. For sure.
For sure.
You know, it seems a little more timeless.
What is that?
All-Star Superman.
Yeah. Okay, I was going there.
That one just feels like it covers so much, but feels so out of time in a really natural way. Like this could happen at any point because it covers kind of the entirety, especially the end of Superman's life. You know. Mm-hmm. I don't know. Sorry, but what were you going to say?
That was
about
it. I was
like
done.
That's just for me. Like that's a huge one. Like there's some Grant Morrison can get really esoteric and really just like I know this is good, but I don't quite follow. And All-Star Superman just did not feel that way at all. It just felt like, man, it just felt like a comfy pair of like stretchy pants that you put on, like the sweatpants with the
and then you put your underwear over it.
Just like, dude, I'm just so comfortable right now. It just feels right.
Oh man,
I don't even put my underwear on until after the pants. That's how natural that felt.
Hey, you know what? Superman's 80. He needs to start wearing his underwear over his pants, maybe. In case he has one of those super accidents. Just keep it all in place, buddy. Anyways.
But he just brought in so many like weird Silver Age aspects of Superman stories. And it was like, yeah, this is all part of his story. And here's how it's meaningful.
And I love the idea of Lex Luthor, like working out, making his body, at peak. That's the Lex Luthor I like. The super scientist, super smart, super like egocentric Lex Luthor, but who's like like, I'm keeping up with my fitness. I gotta compete with
I got my
who
body,
you are.
Body by Lex.
I love the whole stuff with Lois getting powers in the cave, and I mean in the fortress, and
that was a really great issue.
And then there's the part where he saves the girl who's gonna commit suicide, like that whole point. The essence of Superman is there.
It captured a lot of elements and a lot of different facets of who Superman is,
and some goofy stuff like when he's wrestling like Samson and was it Atlas or who was it?
I think it was Atlas.
Was it Atlas? Yeah, that stuff's just fun. Like it took everything goofy, everything great about Superman, and put it in a ball. I'm like,
was that one where Jimmy Olsen like turned into Doomsday and stuff too? Was that part of that?
Man,
I just remember there was just a lot of stuff, and it's similar to what Grant Morrison was able to do with Batman too. Is like to say like, yeah, all of these things coexist. We don't have to like, it all works
somehow.
It's fine. Yeah, and I think, and again, it comes back to what's the apex. Spoilers for a comic book that's been out for years, but what's like the apex and the whole like ending point of that story, and it's sacrifice again
because he's dying.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Go read it. To say like, okay, this invulnerable man.
Yeah.
Here's our pitch. He's dying.
Yeah.
What does he do with his last days?
Yeah.
Oh man, so good. And again, like I think there's just something about you. We definitely have the saccharine, to borrow the term that you used. Like Superman stories can tend to be that way. Yeah. Absolutely. But I'm like, man, if they're done well, they're some of the really deep, meaningful stories, I think, that are really beautiful and hopeful in a way.
Yeah. I think here's how you know it's a good Superman story is if it causes you to think about how you exist in this world. Like, how good of a person are you? Are you up to Superman's standard? If they cause you to think that way, I think it's a good Superman story. They cause you to roll your eyes and go, like freaking Straczynski's like Superman Walking the Earth.
Oh yeah.
That was just awful. It missed the mark. It was definitely not what they wanted it to be. It was trying to be Superman relating with people, but it was overtly preachy and goofy.
Well, and Superman has related to people really well by being super for 80 years.
I still remember him like playing basketball with like some kids. I'm like, that's just dumb. It's dumb. Like that. Yeah. Superman wouldn't play basketball with the kids. He'd watch them. You know, and because a little kid knows Superman's going to dunk on me. Yeah, Superman's going to beat me, and like, don't lie to me, Superman. I know you can like punch planets. Don't act like I'm going to like beat you.
Totally, and that makes me think of some of the themes they hit on in this in today's issue of Action Comics. But before we get to that, do you have any other stories that you're?
Oh yeah, Action Comics 775 by Joe Kelly and Doug Mahnke, who I love. Doug Mahnke, like, I know you have issues with his eyes and lips, but man, Doug Mahnke. Not his personal.
I was going to say he's probably fine, like as a person. Like I don't have any.
That was the one they. That's the one they adapted into the Superman versus the Elite movie.
Oh yeah,
which has the best
Manchester
Black, which has the best intro to any DC animated movie. I love it. It's kind of that punk rock Super Friends intro. That's the best.
It's really good.
But I love that because it was a challenge of Superman's kind of existence of like being the do-gooder. And this new group comes in, and they're super violent, and ultimately it's like Superman, like figuring out who he is, and like, am I a hero for good? Am I someone who makes a difference in the world? And anyways, it's kind of like he ends up discovering that my ways are good, and people are good, and like, I am inspiring, and I really like that book. And it was just a single issue.
No,
and it's one of those.
That's crazy that was one issue. Because I always think, whenever I think of that story, I think like, that had to have been an arc, right?
It was just that.
That's so cool, man. No, it's. And again, like, I feel like all these stories, like, it comes back to really core central themes for Superman too, and it's those things that resonate a lot. This is kind of a goofy one, but Superman, Batman. So not even just like Superman or Action Comics. Superman/Batman.
Okay.
The book, issues 60 and 61, was a arc called Mashup.
Okay.
And I just really liked it. It's not like, hey, this is really meaningful Superman, but I was like, Superman was a part of it, and I remember really liking it a lot because it took. Whole thing is that Superman and Batman kind of like wake up in this city that are like, wait, this looks like Metropolis and it looks like Gotham. And they're in this kind of amalgamation of things, and the characters they run into are the Justice Titans. And so you have like Aquaborg and Donna Wonder and Hawkbeast and Night Lantern, Star Canary, that kind of stuff. And I'm like, man, it just showcases how cool each of their like characters are, especially in, because all the villains are combinations of a Batman and a Superman villain in this. And so I have the list pulled up because I was like, dude, this is so fun. Brainy Cat instead of Brainiac. Brainiac and Catwoman, which like some of these designs actually like were really cool. Doomstroke. Hey, that sounds inappropriate, but Jimmy Two-Face, which was Two-Face. Super cool.
Yeah.
Lana Quinn, which was fine. Lex Joker, I thought was actually, I was like, yeah, that kind of like makes sense, I guess, if you take like the two biggest villains.
They should just call him Smile-Lex.
Missed opportunities, man. Penguello. It's like Metallo and Penguin. And Ventrilo Maker. So the ventriloquist and Toy Maker. Yeah, I don't know, man. I just thought it was fun. It's kind of a goofy one to throw in there, like I said, but it has Superman in it, and maybe I just like these stories where there's like alternate like realities, because it was a similar sort of thing in this story where the actual villain for it was Dr. Destiny. Was messing with Batman and Superman.
Of course.
But so fun. And it was Francis Manapul doing the art.
And Francis Manapul is
Piccoletto.
The best. So, a few more to get through. So there was in 1998, there was these oversized books that DC was putting out, and the first one, there was a series of them. They did like Superman, Wonder Woman, Batman, Shazam, and Justice League, and it was Superman: Peace on Earth, and it was painted by Alex Ross. It was written by Paul Dini, and it was great. And again, it was one of those things of Superman can't do all things, even with all of his power. He,
right?
Like, oh, why don't you feed the world? Well, he can't. You know why? Because if he does, like, governments are going to fight against him. And I remember he was trying to like feed these people, and it was like everyone on this earth can eat, but it's not so much that we're denying them food; it's their governments. And so the kind of the rulers of this like country, this unnamed Middle Eastern country. It's usually the one Kandak. They like doesn't exist. It's 'cause they can't. But anyways, Superman. I may have it kind of wrong because I'm going by memory, but I know he goes to like feed these people, and the government shoots like a gas at Superman as he's feeding these people, and so Superman, he saves them by like making like the gas blow away, but the food's all poisoned and destroyed, and so he can't stop that. And it's just like I can't do everything. It's just a really good like depiction of Superman struggling with even his limitations.
Yeah,
it's really cool. It's just a really good book. And these aren't numbered by any type of like list, like 1, here's the best one, to like 10,
No, we're just having a conversation.
Like, just these books of like, it's usually like, I feel like the one-offs are usually the best.
How do you feel about Kingdom Come as a Superman story?
It definitely is that's a great, I wasn't even thinking about it. But now that you mention it, I think it's a great Superman story.
That's definitely a Superman story, right?
It's Superman centric, it's really about, it kind of goes to like in the vein of Superman versus the Elite, where he's no longer needed, or it's perceived. And so that was that whole book was about, with Gog and everything, and like this new era of heroes that are going to do what is necessary, because it's all predicated upon Superman not stopping the Joker,
right.
And Joker ends up killing like Lois, and he could have, but he wasn't strong enough to do so. So Magog kills him. And anyways, yeah, it's definitely a great book, dude. And it's powerful. I'm trying to think, is it a Superman? I feel like it is a Superman story. It just features
like it ends up being a Superman story, but it has so many characters.
It's kind of a Superman versus Batman story in there.
It is a little bit.
And then at the end, they all get together and have coffee. And Superman.
What other stories you got?
What other ones do I got? I feel like that's it. I'm trying to. Oh, but the one last one I was thinking about. After Jim Lee did Hush, he did, I think it was called For Tomorrow. It was with Brian Azzarello, and it was Superman, and it was a big 12-issue series in the Superman books. Nice. And it takes place like Superman's visiting this priest. This priest has like cancer and he's dying, and Superman's dialoguing with him, and it's like, after there was this whole situation where like 1 million people like were vanished off the earth, and Superman, he created like this other earth for people to be moved to in the midst of it all. And anyways, like Zod's in there, and it's just this really cool book. I think it's
nice. I don't think I've ever actually read that one.
I have all the issues.
So that's 11 issues, and that's ran from 2004 to 2005.
Yeah, it's not really like, I don't think people think about it a lot, but it's a really good book, and it's really interesting, and I think people should check it out if you get a shot. Just looking at Superman in a different way, And again, I can't do everything, even though I'm so powerful. Superman is so much more relatable than people think about. They just think he's a guy who can punch rocks and, has super breath and, and he can do all these things. But in the midst, he's a guy. He's a human. He was raised by humans, but he has the power of a god. But he's probably going to be the guy who most relates to you. So,
totally.
Yeah, good Superman
stuff. Some good stories, man. That's just scratching the surface of the last 80 years.
There's tons. If you have other ones, please let us know. We would love to hear them, because you can celebrate Superman every day. You can wear socks every day.
It could be Superman's birthday
all the time, because he's Superman.
I was going to say every year.
Every year. It is. Womp womp. So,
it is when those come around every year.
Do you have anything else, or are you good?
No, those are kind of the big ones for me.
Yeah. So I think I may have been mistaken earlier when I was talking about For the Man Who Has Everything. I think that's what we were talking about. Or I don't know if that was the last one. I think the last Superman story was Whatever Happened to the Man of Tomorrow. And that was with Kurt Swan.
And that was another Alan Moore.
Yeah, another Alan Moore. So I was mixed up. But anyways. So there we go.
Actually.
Yeah, well, you know. Yeah. So.
All right. So we're going to pull up Action Comics 1000.
Action Comics 1000.
Did you want to talk through each of these stories or just kind of talk about some of the highlights for you?
Yeah, I kind of wanted to go through it, but I want to first talk to you about something even more important.
Uh-oh.
These flipping covers, dude. We both got the same cover.
We did.
We got that Michael
I was hoping you would
Allred
get a
cover.
different one. I was
No
trying
way,
to
dude.
Pressure you into a different one. For variety's sake, but it didn't happen.
I love this Michael Allred cover. It's fun. I mean, if
you didn't get the Jim Lee cover?
I didn't want the Jim Lee cover. Like, I like Jim Lee, but it wasn't the cover that I wanted.
No, once I saw this Mike Allred cover when they released all of them, I was like, oh yeah, that's what I'm getting.
All red of them? Ah! Yeah.
All red of them?
Yeah, dude. It's such a great looking freaking book. And the fun colors on the front and super squinty Superman.
Yeah,
squinty
love
powers.
All those crazy Silver Age stories represented on the front. I love stuff like that, man.
Yeah, it's fun. And so,
all right, so we can go through this. Not spend a ton of time on each of them because there's quite a few.
There's quite a few stories. But yeah, it kicks off with the Dan Jurgens story, and it's
from the city that has everything. Dan Jurgens, Norm Rapmund
doing. And
I will make this short. I was not feeling this one.
Yeah, it felt like a when they do these 80-page specials. I mean, this whole book was to just highlight the goodness of Superman and how he is. And
this one just felt a little like, again, to borrow the term, saccharine. It was like a little like, oh, that was a little overly sweet, like maybe a little too much.
Like, Superman,
we're all your fans.
We're all your fans. Yay! So, yeah, but here's the thing. Here's what I'll give it its historical significance. I love Superman's statue in the park, the big gold statue that was there after he died. It's there. It made me feel good. And Dan Jurgens, he's done so much for Superman in the last like freaking 30 years of comics. Like he deserves to be a part of stuff like this. And was it a little corny? Yeah, it's more Reeves than it's kind of that Reeves feel.
It felt very 80s.
Yeah,
but at the same time, like. You're like, oh, that's actually like the current designs for a lot of characters.
Yeah, everyone's.
And you have some of the Dark Matter characters in the crowd there too.
Yeah. So I feel like it was. I feel like all these are pretty modern. They take place in the timeline.
That first one felt like 80s to me.
Yeah, so it's cool. It was like, I don't have time for this. I have to save people, and you kind of saw where it was going. But yeah, this next one though.
Tomasi and Gleason. And I wanted to actually, as we were talking about the best Superman stories, I just wanted to say their whole run was pretty fantastic in Rebirth. Yeah, there was a few towards the end where I'm guessing it was due to busyness because they couldn't do all of them. There was something really cool about seeing Superman as a dad.
Yeah, and they just knocked it out of the park. And this like little story that they had with Superman fighting Vandal Savage and experiencing all the different timelines, was fantastic, and it was great, and it was like such a good like kind of.
It's a celebration of all the different things that Superman's done in the places he's been. Yeah. And again, just gorgeous. I felt like Gleason, this felt like especially good.
Yeah, he was knocking out of the park. There was a part that he said in here that Tomasi wrote, but the past informs us, it teaches us, and most of all, it strengthens us. I like that. It's kind of saying, everything that Superman has done in his history is good, and it counts, and it matters to who the character is. Loved it.
Yeah.
Loved it so much.
Followed it up directly by a pinup by J.R. Jr.,
Didn't like it.
Still don't like how he draws Superman.
I'm just like, what? Why? Why you put this really sickly looking Superman picture? I don't know.
Gotta be honest.
Don't know what they're talking about.
I skipped over the Marv Wolfman story that followed.
Yeah, I think they put that in there because it was the art that they found. And
I understand that, but I'm like, I'm gonna kind of skim past it.
The whole point of it was just people are good, and that's why Superman decided, he had to split his time between, fighting off some Brainiac drones. He didn't have to do it all.
Totes.
So, okay. So this Jeff Johns, Richard Donner, Oliver Coipel story, really cool.
So good.
Yeah.
And really, really pretty.
Oh, gosh, yeah. Isn't he going to be illustrating?
That art is freaking gorgeous.
Isn't he illustrating the Bendis run? I thought maybe I'm wrong.
Is he?
I don't know. I thought I heard that, but I like how it took the cover of Action Comics #1 and made it a story.
Yeah, right.
Right.
I'm like, hey, what happened around that iconic moment? And I'm like, man. And again, it reiterated, like Superman. Here's the thing: it didn't show Superman smashing anything.
Yeah.
It's saying afterward, after he destroyed like this car, right?
Yeah. It's
showing the other side of what Superman does and what he stands for. In talking to this guy and saying like, you can be better than this. And
for some reason, it felt very George Reeves and not Christopher Reeve to me. I mean, even though it's coming from, Donner.
No, I feel that as well.
It didn't feel like, now go and do good. It just felt like, hey, like it felt like how Superman is to me. Like this, hey, change your ways, man. Like I saved you. I mean, I looked up your information, like do better. So, I wasn't super feeling this story from
Snyder. Scott Snyder in Albuquerque.
Yeah, I didn't. It was whatever. Like I didn't love it.
I didn't love the art style, but I thought the idea of like, oh, I think at the end there, like Lex Luthor literally did do what he set out to do, and ended Superman like mid sentence. Yeah. I was like, oh. All right. Yeah, you have a few stories in here that I'm like, oh, those are a little bit of a downer. Like those are kind of sad a little bit.
The Tom King Clayman one, kind of a downer. It was nice. I didn't read it when they previewed it a week or so ago.
Me too. I waited until today to read it.
And the art was good, but I just didn't think
it's beautiful.
Yeah.
I think I get what he's going for. I didn't personally like resonate with it a ton.
It was kind of like, oh, okay. So Jerry Ordway, Louise Simonson. I mean, that's just a classic Superman. Some team, just people that have been on it. It was an okay story. It was just like, hey, Superman,
that one felt okay to me. Then we have Actionland.
Loved it.
Paul Dini and Jose Luis Garcia Lopez. Like that. Oh, man. Talk about a cool team up there as well.
This story I loved. I loved it being kind of this Mr. Mxyzptlk, like trying to like, tell a story and then trying to make himself like the ultimate like hero/villain of the end. And it was fantastic. It was great. I loved it. It was super fun.
In the end, you have Batmite taking off with the rocket.
Yeah. Well, not even just Batmite. It's also freaking the Thunderbolt. And, oh gosh, who's I don't know who that little guy with the antlers is, but it's kind of like all these silly characters.
The little imps.
Yeah, little impy guys. So, the one thing I wish it had was when he's walking past all of the Supermans. I wish it was like different iterations of Superman there. It would been just that's all. Yeah. Small little thing. But
totally. And I think you have then you have a pinup by Walter Simonson and Brandon Wagner, and that was just okay to me. I'm like, yeah, sure, that's the thing.
But the Brad Meltzer story with John Cassidy.
Holy crap! This Brad Meltzer story, so good.
It just, dude, just the opening like panels was really cool, and then the kind of the science with the seconds and the math and all that stuff,
and the bullet and how it was going to work, and him knowing like I shouldn't technically be able to make it.
Yeah.
Again, because he's super smart, like he knows his limitations, right?
Yeah.
But in that, what's the X factor? It's our interaction with him.
Yeah.
And our like agency and being able to still act and not we're not just saved by Superman, but we play a part in that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, that was so cool. And I think to see, and that's where it feels like what was trying to be done with that first story, I feel similar to this one, but this feels like it nailed it a lot better.
Yeah.
You have the little text box, the dialogue boxes on that last page, and you have Lois saying, like, people always say they're inspired by you, but I know your real secret. You're the one inspired by them.
Yeah.
And it felt like it landed.
Wow, these people writing the movies. Dude. Like, everything is, like, most of these are just fantastic little blurbs. And I'm thinking, because it's probably hard to write a long Superman story, because...
Yeah. I don't want to discount how hard it is to write a story either. Okay. But I'm saying, if you have talented people that are able to do that, maybe employ them in certain, avenues.
All right. So we get to the end.
Can we talk about the pinup by Jorge Jimenez though first? Because that thing is awesome.
Oh wait, isn't he drawing the Bendis run? What's he working on?
He's working on Justice League with Snyder.
Oh, okay. Never mind.
He's doing one of the. Is he doing some of the Man of Steel?
Maybe. I don't know, man.
Series?
I
don't know, but just that pinup. That was like the only pinup out of the pinups in here that I was like, oh, that's really nice.
Yeah, it's nice. Superman sitting on a cloud. Hey.
But then we get to the end, and this is the grand debut.
Brian Michael Bendis.
Jim Lee on pencils.
Yeah.
How do you feel about this story? Do we want to talk about it, overview, or do you want to
Okay, overall, I like where it's going, but that villain, generic as all get out, dude. I could care less about this guy just on his look. I like this idea of, he.
We're gonna spoil it right now.
No, I don't want to spoil it.
Okay,
I don't want to spoil it. Let people read it.
I think the concept of where they leave you at the end of this little short story is intriguing. Yeah, I'm like, cool. I want to know what happens with that.
Yeah, I do. But man, this guy looks. He just Rogol. What's his name?
I don't know. He looks generic.
Zar.
Here's what pulled me in though. Is man that Bendis dialogue just knows how to do it.
Yeah. No, it's
you have those two women pulling Superman along.
Yeah.
And they're literally the ones having the conversation about like, wait, he has the underwear on the outside now again?
Yeah.
And I love it that the other woman was like, I think they stand for hope, is what I heard. And I was like, yes.
He's an alien from another planet. It might be a symbol of hope to his people, the underwear.
The underwear.
So I like that they earlier in the Tomasi run, they referenced the shorts. Remember when Jonathan Kent is like, well, those are goofy, and then he kind of like said, no, they're not. I don't know, but there was this little interaction.
Oh, okay. Father and son. Yeah, I didn't remember that.
Yeah, and so it's like the shorts existed at some point in this continuity, so it all counts. Anyways, it was a fantastic. I think overall it was good. I mean, it was a celebration of all Superman, and it had everything in it.
Yes, and that last story specifically made me excited to see more Superman written by Bendis. Yeah. I think that's the big win, honestly. Like leading out of this issue is like, oh, I want more of that.
So let's talk about all the covers, because they put out a whole bunch of covers.
Let's do it. There's quite a few.
There's probably more that we don't know about. I'm sure there's other editions, because I know a lot of like different shops got their own special cover if you ordered X amount. But this Steve Rude one is really nice. The 1930s variant. I like Steve Rude art. I wish that Steve Rude had a story inside the book, to be honest, but
it does look nice.
Yeah, it's nice.
I was going to say the 40s cover was really like
Michael Cho?
That was a contender for me. I was like, ooh,
yeah, it looks really good.
The 60s cover, the 40s cover.
Yeah, that 40s one is really nice. It's probably one of the best. I didn't love the Dave Gibbons one. I mean, it's cool. It's not the one that I would gravitate towards.
There's something about the look of Superman, like just the way his body is and the way his neck and his head, like it just looks kind of off.
Looks like Keanu Reeves to me. Then there's our Michael Allred one, which I absolutely love. We talked about that.
So good.
There's a 70s Steranko one. I don't know, man. I'm not feeling that one either. I know Steranko is like a legend. I just don't know about that cover.
Yeah, something about it. That one's just not for me.
Yeah,
man.
Not for me. Didn't do anything for me.
The 80s really
Joshua
nice,
Middleton. Freaking, that's a poster right there. Like,
yeah, it has like this photorealism kind of like angle to it.
Yeah, they really should put that out. Take the dressing off, and the only thing is it's not very. It doesn't look like the art from the 80s. It doesn't. I was expecting something more John Byrne or Jerry Ordway for the 80s cover.
Oh, this feels more like 80s. Yeah, I guess.
I don't know, but I love the Brainiac skull ship in the background. Lex Luthor, like the design of it is fantastic. Lex Luthor cutting through the middle of it. It's just
the layout's real nice.
Yeah,
composition.
Like Lois and dude. I'm telling you, I said it like I don't know where I think I said it on a Batman on Film podcast, but Courtney Cox is Lois Lane, and that looks like her right there.
Oh, that totally does.
Like it was like the early '90s, and it wasn't like a terrible, goofy like Tim Burton script. I think she could have worked, but it looks just like her, dude. To me, I don't know what you say, but
no, I can see that.
I think this is one of my favorite of the covers, though. Then we got our action one by Dan Jurgens, 1990s version. Yep. Lois helping Superman undress. And he's got a nice paisley interior of his jacket lining. There you go.
It's true.
Just check that out. It looks like there's a lot of bullets there behind. I don't know.
Around him?
Yeah, that's cool.
Not hitting him, I guess.
Then we have the 2000s Lee Bermeo. And that one it's good. It's good. Not my favorite.
I'm not a fan of his style in general.
I feel like the sky should have been a different color. Like, I know it's supposed to be like it's burning. He would have popped more if it was a purple or something sky. So anyways, that's all the covers and Superman.
All the covers we could find, yeah. Well, then you have the Jim Lee primary.
Yeah, the primary one
as well.
And I don't love that one. Mm-mm. It's nice, but I don't love it. But Jim Lee, he's like the president, so he gets to do whatever he wants. There you go. And man, so let's talk about the shorts.
The trunks are back.
I was okay with them not coming back. I really liked that latest Rebirth suit. And
yeah, I feel like we've talked about it before.
Yeah, after this, issue, it's not going to make me not buy Superman comics, but I was really like, man, that was the one thing in the modern era. Like, I thought we could ditch the trunks.
It's true.
It's all right. I mean, they're back. I don't know if they're going to make... I hope they don't come back to the films. I hope, like, Henry Cavill isn't wearing trunks, in the future. It wouldn't make me like, what the heck?
Yeah, man, I'm pretty neutral on that. Like, yeah. I think... So I can see how people would fall on the other side of that line, but I'm like...
Yeah.
I'm not feeling...
So there you go.
super convicted one way or the other about that.
So, there you go. Anyway, Superman Action Comics 1000...
Boom.
Yeah, I still need to read Superman 45, which is the last issue of the Tomasi and Gleason run. And I hear it's fantastic, and I can't wait to read it. I'll probably read it later on tonight when I go home.
Yeah,
just didn't have time, man. Just didn't have time.
Lots of comics today.
Just
focusing in,
Yeah, Batman, Mr. Miracle, and Daredevil, and this Action Comics deal, and Spider-Man. I got a lot of comics today. It was a heavy day because of Action Comics. Goodness, man. All the comics, but can't talk about them all right now. It's another day.
Can't do everything all the time, dude.
Can't do everything all the time. So, you know what we can do, Matt? We can end the show.
We can do that. Yeah. I think we can manage.
Love Superman. Okay, so overall, Action Comics 1000, Matt, what do you give it? What do you rate it?
I would give it a let's go.
Yeah. I'm going to give it a gotta go for its historical significance. Not all of it is great, but there's enough in it that I think you feel good and you feel like you get a good idea of who Superman is. I think people who aren't even Superman fans or even comic book fans should at least go through it and go, oh man, there's some good stuff in there. Yeah. Stuff I probably didn't think of. So, all right, Matt. So if people want to talk to you about all of your opinions about Superman and other things on the internet, how can they reach you?
You can find me on Twitter at Matt Ritchie. How about you?
Ooh, you can find me on Twitter at J_Rocka, but you can find the show at Let's Go Comic Show on Twitter and Instagram. You can go to our website at www.letsgocast.com where you can find this show and many, many more. You can go on our website also and buy some merch. You can click on that merch that merch tab and say, click, and then be taken to a magical land where you can buy a t-shirt or anything else. All purchases go to helping out the show.
Yes.
But here's another thing. If you're like, man, a shirt is not enough. I really want to support the show on a monthly. I want to be in the mission of the Let's Go Comic Show. So you can join our Patreon. So go to patreon.com/letsgocast and you can sign up there and make some contributions. And I guarantee you it would help us out. And we'll send you a little something, something. You know what I'm saying? We'll help you out. But let's just say you're on that budget. Here's what I need you to do right now. And it's so easy to do. You can just go to our website, letsgocast.com, which I mentioned before. Click on the Let's Go Comic Show link, and it'll take you to a magical podcast store on iTunes. And you can just go on there, leave us 5 stars, and leave us some nice words. I'm telling you, if you like the show, let us know. Let others know, because that helps us out. And it literally doesn't take long. You can do it on your phone. I've done it before. I leave reviews for other shows all the time. So if you listen to the show, please, for Superman's birthday, leave us a review. That'd be great. That'd be awesome. And so, anyways, so there's that. And that's all I got, Matt.
Yeah, we'll see you next time.
My name's Justin.
I'm Matt.
Let's go.
Let's go.